I thank you everybody for joining. We will call to order the village board meeting for May 12th, 2026 to order. With that, we do need to have a public hearing this evening. With that, we will just open the public hearing regarding an annexation agreement for the Sile Road Estates project. With that, public hearing is now open. Does anybody from the public wish to address this board regarding that project? Seeing none, I do ask for a motion to close said public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Amos.
Second.
Second by trustee Chapman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it, no nays. Public hearing is closed. With that, we will continue forward, start the village board meeting. And with that, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lana, roll call, please.
Mayor DeBold.
Here.
Trustees Amos.
Here.
Babiak. Here. Brockman.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Luciano.
Here.
And Selfridge.
Here.
All right, we do have everybody here. We have a quorum for this evening. As we move on through our agenda, we'll move into our citizens section. Is there anybody from the public wishing to address the village board during citizens comment?
Good evening, Mark Riglione from the Troy School District, and just wanted to say that the district is in favor of the apartments that are going across the street to the north of Aldi, as long as they are studios and one bedrooms and very few two bedrooms. The Rock Run was supposed to be studios, one bedrooms, and it turned out to be more 2 and 3 bedrooms, and we now have students registering already. I guess they're moving in as of May the 6th. We have over 4,000 kids in our district, and we're happy to support a studio and one bedroom development. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else from the public wishing to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move into this evening's consent agenda. Item number 1 will be approval of the regular meeting minutes from April 28th, 2026. Item 2 is approval of accounts payable in the amount of $695,764.10. Item 3 is approval of a payment in the amount of $54,888.30 to Hacienda Landscaping for the Huntington Fawn Parks Reconstruction Project. And item number 4 is approval of payment in the amount of $20,000 to Safe Step LLC for the sidewalk evaluation, reporting, and repair services. Does any board member have any questions or need any further information regarding tonight's consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by trustee Luciano, seconded by trustee Babiak. Roll call, please.
Babiak.
Yes.
Brockman.
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Selfridge.
Yes.
And Amos.
Yes.
All right, consent agenda has been approved. We'll move into the reports and communications for the night. Lana, was there anything that you have prior to this evening?
No, sir.
Thank you. We do have a couple of proclamations, and one of them will be a recognition. First, we'll start with the Public Works Week. National Public Works Week proclamation is May 17th through May 23rd, 2026. Their slogan this year is Rooted in Service, Powered by Community. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the village of Shorewood. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the village of Shorewood to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th Annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Be it now resolved, I, Mayor Clarence DeBold, do hereby designate the week of May 17th through May 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions that they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. And witness thereof to be signed today. Noriel with Public Works, anything you want to comment about that?
Just very thankful, especially for Mayor and the village board for all your support. We couldn't have done it without you. We do have a nice little group of men over there that are working hard, and women, I apologize, but and we do our best. So with that, we also want to just make sure that everyone is aware that on May 23rd, that Saturday during Public Works Week, that we are having an open house. And so we hope that everyone from Shorewood is able to attend and enjoy. We will have food. We'd like to show off, of course, our facility. We'll have touch a truck and other kids' activities there. So love to see everyone out there. Thank you.
Thank you, and I know they'll be pushing it out through social media for May 23rd. Next, I want to recognize that the Village of Shorewood has achieved the Tree City USA status. Just a quick overview for everybody to understand that. The Arbor Day Foundation is celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Tree City USA program. Shorewood was named a 2025 Tree City USA in honor of its commitment to plant, grow, and maintain trees which benefit the community. Tree City USA program recognizes cities and towns that leverage urban forestry to enhance the livability and sustainability of their local area. And then to earn such an award, or I should say recognition, to earn a Tree City USA recognition, a city must uphold 4 core standards: maintaining a tree board or department, having a community tree ordinance, spending at least $2 per capita on urban forestry, and participating in an Arbor Day celebration. We do have a press release that we will also make certain it goes out on the village's website. But again, a lot of that goes back to Public Works and what they do, working with residents in the community, making certain those different things are taken care of. Arbor Day stuff that we give a proclamation here. They do an event out at Public Works and some different stuff through the community. So again, thanks to Public Works for helping let us maintain that, and the village board for allocating different funds to participate in the program. And one other proclamation. We do have Building Safety Month. Building Safety Month is May of 2026. Proclamation is, whereas the Village of Shorewood is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and essential roles of our homes. Buildings and infrastructure play both in everyday life and when disasters strike. And whereas our code officials are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes and standards to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the ICC to remind the public about the critical role of our code officials and the Built to Last, the theme for the Building Safety Month 2026, encourages us all to get involved and raise awareness about building safety on a personal and local scale. And whereas each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, our residents are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by our local building department in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, I, Clarence C. DeBold, Mayor of the Village of Shorewood, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as a Building Safety Month. It's going to be enacted on this 12th day of May 2026. Mr. Steriati.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. I feel it is important, especially with the amount of growth, development, and building that we're seeing right now. And from what I can tell within the Village of Shorewood, most residents abide by and are appreciative of it. So thank you all.
And we thank you for your time and effort, the building department, the inspectors that go out and get to meet with all the local contractors, residents, subcontractors for all the different projects that go on out here, and continue to make certain that we're meeting those standards and provide a safe environment for everybody. So thank you. With that, we'll move into this evening's order of business. Business item number 1 will be a consideration for approval of an annual appropriations ordinance for the Village of Shorewood, Will County, Illinois, for the fiscal year beginning April 1st, 2026 and ending March 31st, 2027. Item is up for a first read. Over to Ms. Burkholder.
Thank you, Mayor. The annual appropriations ordinance is largely a housekeeping item, but we are required to have it on file with the county. It does represent the village's legal spending authorities, so in order to account for anything unforeseen that may occur during the fiscal year, we do put 25% on top of those budget figures to be our legal appropriation. However, we do still operate with the budget as our spending limit. The total budget for all funds put together is $69,084,122, which would make our proposed appropriation $86,355,154. We are required to have a public hearing, so we will publish for that and take care of the public hearing and the second read of this ordinance at our first meeting in June. Be happy to take any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Ann on that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing none, we will move on to business item number 2, which would be a consideration for approval of a proposal for professional engineering services with Christopher B. Burke Engineering for Phase 2 design services for our 2027 Mound Road Bridge Maintenance Project in the amount not to exceed $58,960. Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. So, as you're aware, all of our bridges go through an inspection, a schedule for routine inspections. Some of our bridges are inspected more frequent than others, depending on its age and condition. So at our last inspection, our Mound Road Bridge, some maintenance work were identified by Seabell Structural Engineers and a plan for such work. Now that IDOT's detour is no longer using Mound Road, and I know that Sile Road Bridge construction is underway, we are now beginning to plan for this work needed on the bridge. So for your consideration, we are recommending Seabell's proposal for professional engineering services for Phase 2 design for the village's Mound Road Bridge Maintenance Project in the amount not to exceed $58,960. Any questions?
Noriel, at what time frame are they anticipating to do that work on Mound Road's bridge?
After Sile Road. We can't do it until
Correct.
Sile
I just want to
Road is
verify.
done.
So it wouldn't be until after the Sile Road Bridge
Correct.
is done? No. Okay.
Out of the engineering study will come this study here, Noriel?
Well,
Will
actually,
come an estimate of what that will cost to maintenance?
right now we're planning close to around $600,000 for that work, $300,000 maintenance work, and then $300,000 approximately for the surfacing of that bridge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? So in the future, we would have to, of course, budget for such.
Anybody else have any other questions for Noriel? If none, take a motion to approve the design contract.
Make a motion to approve an annual, make a motion to approve a proposal for professional engineering services with Christopher B. Burke Engineering for Phase 2 design services for our 2027 Mound Road Bridge Maintenance Project in the amount not to exceed $58,960.
Second.
Motion by trustee Amos, seconded by trustee Selfridge. Roll call, please.
Brockman,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
Selfridge.
Yes.
Amos.
Yes.
And Bavia.
Yes.
All right, item number 2 has been approved. Business item number 3 would be a consideration for approval to purchase a 2026 Ford Explorer in the amount of $52,763 from Ron Turpelli Ford. Ooh, couldn't get that one out. Over to Public Works.
Thank you again, Mayor. So in our budget, we are requesting to replace the chief's buggy. It is a Chevy Tahoe 2017. The Tahoe is beginning to show its age and with almost 135,000 miles. However, we do not intend to end that life yet for that vehicle. It will be reassigned within the police department, and it will be reassigned to EMA. EMA's vehicle is a 2011 Chevy Tahoe that is also in need of replacement. However, we're not going to end that service life yet either. We're going to temporarily relocate that with the new building inspectors over at the building department. Once we are set up with that replacement vehicle, then we will eventually, maybe by late this year, if not early next year, declare that as surplus once a couple of our squads are replaced. So the the Chief's new ride is anticipated in approximately 8 to 10 weeks for delivery, plus approximately 2 to 4 weeks for the outfitting of the radio and all the safety lighting. Our budget for this purchase is approximately $70,000. The quote from Tirapelli does include government incentives. We are recommending the village board approve the purchase of a 2026 Ford Explorer from Tirapelli Ford in the amount of $52,763. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Noriel? Yes, sir.
The 2011 says it needs some repair, so if we're gonna keep it, are we gonna do those repairs to it?
We have to, yes.
Okay. That's what I just wanted to clarify.
It's an air conditioning unit that has to be.
And brake replacements.
And
too.
brakes.
Yeah. That's why I was worried about the safety items.
Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion for the approval of a purchase, a 2026 Ford Explorer in the amount of $52,763 from Ron Tirapelli Ford.
Second.
Motion by trustee Selfridge, seconded by trustee Luciano. Roll call, please.
Chapman?
Yes.
Luciano?
Yes.
Selfridge?
Yes.
Amos?
Yes.
Babiak?
Yes.
And Brockman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Business item number 4 will be a consideration for approval of an ordinance approving and authorizing an annexation agreement for the Sile Road Estates. This is up for a first read, but over to trustee Brockman and Ms. Engel.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a few words and I'll turn it over to Natalie, but we had 2 public hearings, the last planning and zoning, and this particular agenda item, no one rose to speak for or against it, the project, and it comes here with a 5-0 vote from planning and zoning for your consideration. And Natalie, go ahead and let us know what's going on.
Thank you. This project is located on Sile Road. It's west of Windstone, south of the Troy Township building, sort of north of Kipling Estates, and just to the east of Hidden Creek. It is a 7.66 acre property that's currently unincorporated. They're proposing to annex this property, in which case it would come in as the default R1 zoning. The intention is to build 6 lots that are just over an acre each. Highlighted the lots in dark blue, and then the area behind it is where the stormwater management area will go. This will be part of the lots that the residents will be maintaining, but it'll be a stormwater management easement as well. When we came to you last to discuss this at the concept plan level, we talked about having 3 driveways so that each resident would share a driveway. Once we looked at it a little bit better, we realized that that would be a little bit of a disaster because, you know, not everybody would be ready to replace their driveway at the same time. There could be disagreements, and ultimately decided that the best thing would be to present a plan that showed 6 driveway accesses, 1 to each residential lot. So these driveway accesses would provide access to the home, as well as access to a potential sort of toy barn that would be allowed behind it. Because it is Sile Road, we don't want people backing out onto Sile Road or backing into these properties, so we've proposed that they are required to do a turnaround on each lot so that you can go into your lot, turn around within your lot, and then leave straightforward, not backing out onto Sile Road. The image on the screen shows 6 different versions of what that could look like. Each of those show people going straight into a front-loaded driveway and garage, and then having a turnoff for the toy barn. If it's constructed, you know, theoretically, they could go further back if they had a side-loaded garage or something like that, but it would have to be set back. The split-off would have to be set back at least 30 feet from the property line. They are proposing to zone the property R1, which is the default zoning, but they're gonna exceed essentially all the setback requirements. R1 requires a 30-foot front yard setback. They're proposing a minimum of 50 feet. R1 requires a 10-foot side yard setback. They have 15-foot easements along each of these properties, so in essence, nothing can be closer than 15 feet to the property line, and this includes the driveway. And we would typically require 25% depth or 35 feet for the rear yard setback, but because of the stormwater easement, these houses are gonna be at least 180 feet from the rear property line. So they're gonna more than exceed the setbacks that are set forward in the zoning district. The standards for the houses are very similar to what we see in Saddlebrook Estates. They're talking about 1,900 square feet minimum for ranches, 2,600 minimum square feet for two-story buildings, and a minimum 2-car attached garage, although they could have a 3-car garage or a 4-car garage if they wanted to. In addition to the house and the garage, they could also install a toy barn, which is essentially meant to be a structure no taller than 15 feet to the eaves, maximum of 1,500 square feet, where people can store things like their car collections, RVs, potentially a work truck if they're not operating a business out of the lot. And this would be an accessory building, so you can build a house and then build a toy barn, or you can build them at the same time, but you cannot build a toy barn without the house there first. That's required. It's accessory to the house. Because there is this large structure potentially, they see no need to have sheds and things like that, so the only other accessory building that they would allow would be a pool house up to 150 square feet. This is the stormwater management area. Essentially, it's meant to be a dry stormwater management area that only fills up when it rains, and then highlighted in yellow is the high water level, so if you had, a big storm, that's where the water would go to. The area will be maintained by the residents and will be subject to HOA covenants, and there will also be an underlying special service area so that if ever they defaulted on their obligations to maintain this area, the village could go in, do it, and charge them an additional tax to take care of that. It's hard to see the public improvements on the screen, so I kind of highlighted them. The sanitary sewers on the north side of the street, so they would be crossing Sile Road underground. They would be, the water main is right along their property, so they would just be hooking into that, and highlighted in red is the continuation of the sidewalk. The intention is to have custom homes in this property, so we don't have elevations to show you, but we do have stricter than average standards that we would impose on them as part of the annexation agreement, the PUD, and also their covenants. So it would require that 50% of the facade be made of what we term high quality materials, so bricks, stone, stucco, ephes, things like that. They would be able to use vinyl siding, but it would have to be a minimum 0.44 inch thickness, which is sort of a mid-grade or higher vinyl. And then they'd have to have sort of some architectural detail on the front of the building. This is very standard for what we see in a lot of our zoning districts and a lot of our PUDs. So they'd have to vary the building materials, so they could use brick and stone or brick and siding, add bay windows, do varying roof lines so that not everything was the same plane or the same height, add window moldings and trim. Obviously, all of the building windows that face the front would have to be gridded with some type of a grid pattern as well, so they wouldn't be plain. 10% of the front facade would have to be covered in windows, 5% of other facades, so side and rear. And then if they had a structure that was 150 square feet or greater, so either the maximum size pool house or a larger toy barn behind, they would have to have at least 2% windows on those other structures. 612 roof pitch for the house, which is pretty typical, 412 roof pitch for the toy barn. No other standards if they were to build a pool house or anything like that. And then obviously the roof material would have to be asphalt, fiberglass, shakes. They have 2 types of metal that they would allow. Theoretically, they could allow something like a Da Vinci roof or something like that, but they couldn't go with just the standard roof. In terms of landscaping, they would be doing some plants around the stormwater management area, which is essentially the south property line. And then the homeowners would be responsible for planting their own parkway trees. We don't know exactly where these houses are going to sit on the lot or anything like that, so it made sense to do that, and they would have to select their parkway trees from the village's list of standard trees. They would also have to follow our rules, like making sure we don't have a row of the same tree one after the other and things like that. They would also be required to do foundation landscaping along the front of the building, and we've just shown a typical single-family lot where they're probably putting one ornamental tree and a variety of shrubs. at the very onset, the sidewalk would be constructed along all lots. We want to make sure that we, as much as possible, have sidewalks along Sile Road. I think I mentioned the utilities. The lights are already on Sile Road, so there's no need to add any extra street lights. They are the decorative arterial street lights, the sort of gooseneck type. And they're up for 3 different approvals. The first is the annexation agreement, which sort of lays out the terms for all of this. The second is the actual annexation, and the third is the special use permit for a PUD, which essentially is the development document for the project that will live on past the annexation agreement, theoretically forever. A couple of questions did come up today, one of which had to do with the heights of the garage doors. Garage doors can be up to about 12 feet tall because they want to accommodate things like, somebody had a large RV with an air conditioning unit to have a place for them to park. Other questions that came up were, are they required to build a pole barn, a toy barn? They are not. Some people may build it right away, some people may never build it, and other people may decide to come back later and build it. In terms of the layout of the lot, we would be looking every time to make sure that the parking spaces and the driveway and everything work for turnaround traffic. I'm happy to answer any other questions, and Mr. Slavic is here as well.
Anybody have any questions on that?
Did I miss it? Is it concrete or blacktop driveway?
Concrete.
It's all concrete?
It's all concrete.
Okay. And homeowners association, who takes care of that? Bob's got enough to do.
Well, they're going to have to do like the other subdivisions, and they're going to have to adopt covenants before they sell those lots. So it'll have to be in place. And I would imagine Mr. Slavic would probably maintain the control over like the architectural standards and stuff like that while they're being built. And then once most or all of them are built, then it would be turned over to the HOA. And we would, obviously if they ever went defunct or weren't doing their maintenance, then we would have to step in and do stuff. But with 6 lots, we think it's probably pretty likely they'll get along and figure it out.
6-person HOA?
6-person HOA. We are lucky in this case because it's not a wet bottom pond, so it's a lot easier for them to maintain than if it were a wet bottom pond with, natural or riprap sides and things like that.
Just one question, how is the turnaround requirement enforced? How do we do that?
We are going to have to review it on every single building permit application to make sure it works. We have some examples that the engineer has provided where they have 30-foot driveways with a 10-foot sort of lane leading back to the toy barn where people can turn around. But if they want to differ from those, we're going to have to take a look at them and make sure that all the turning movements work.
So if these toy barn, I'm thinking in large, RVs, whatever, backing up into Sile Road, if we find that, it's a compliance ticket, what is that? How do you enforce it?
If they're driving on their
Yes, ma'am.
grass,
Yeah.
it would be an ACT or a code enforcement issue.
Right. Thank you.
Go ahead.
The pond, just for the grass, the maintenance, it's on each lot owner technically, right? So I could cut my grass on my section of the detention pond, that's how it would work, not the HOA technically?
I think that's the intention. They
Okay.
could theoretically contract with somebody, but I think Mr. Slavic's intention was that they cut their own lot.
Okay,
It will be under the ownership of the homeowners. It's not going to be owned by the HOA. It's going to be owned by the individual ones with the easements to make sure that there's maintenance abilities.
Is that a fair statement, Mr. Slavic?
Correct, yeah.
okay.
Each homeowner will mow all their own grass, and then there'll be an access easement across the back for stormwater.
Okay. The, if you don't build a toy barn, does the driveway have to still have a turnaround?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's, because I don't see that listed in the act as far as like the driveways.
Okay.
It just talks about like the driveway entrance and the intention is for them to reverse into the accessory garage driveway, right? But since they don't have to build one, you might have to put that in there that there's some sort of bump out required.
I'm pretty sure there's something in the covenants that we had where it had to have at least a 30 by 30 area in front of the garage. I'm pretty sure that's in there. If not, we can double
Maybe,
check.
but I think it's definitely some language we could probably tighten with
Yeah.
Dave's oversight to make sure that we're writing it correctly. I think that's everybody's intention.
What's the difference between a pool house and a shed?
You have to have a pool.
Okay.
So it would be accessory to a pool.
Okay,
You know, theoretically, could somebody store their lawnmower in there?
but a pool has to exist for a pool house to exist. Okay, okay. And then my last question, the front landscaping, that's a requirement, whatever that standard is that you set
Yes.
with the one ornamental tree and the shrubberies. It's not just, that's the example, that's actually required.
Yeah, and the example that we provided, I think it's actually an example provided by Lennar, but it's very general, so it doesn't say specifically what type of ornamental tree it represents it.
Okay.
And shrubs, yeah.
Okay, those were my only questions, thank you.
I had several. First of all, I just want to ask a question. What is something like this gonna go for price-wise if you add the the toy barn?
If I had to guess, they're gonna probably start at $750 or $800, go up from there. I mean, this, an average house is at least $200 a square foot plus the land. So you're 2,000 square feet or at least 400,000 plus 150 for the lot maybe. So you couldn't build a house for less than 6. Between the landscaping and permit fees and things like that.
Okay, thanks. Secondly, what I wanted to ask you, I wasn't aware of the fact that you didn't have to build a toy barn. I thought this was gonna be uniform and the developer was gonna build all the toy barns and they all be 1,500 square feet. That being said, if they're not going to have to build the toy barn when they purchase the home, how are you gonna come back and build all the toy barns?
I don't wanna represent that I'm gonna build all these. If someone chose to purchase a lot, they could purchase a lot and build it themselves, hire a different builder. I don't wanna represent that I'm gonna build them all. If I get lucky enough to, get hired by the homeowner, then, I'll be glad to give them a price. If it doesn't work out or they wanna go a different direction, I mean, I'm not doing this to build a house, we're just doing it for, I'm certainly gonna build a couple of them. I already have a gentleman working on a ranch plan that's about 3,500 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 5.5 baths, so give you kind of an idea of what's intended to build there.
So then there's a possibility there won't be uniformity with all the toy barns.
I can't say what people are gonna do.
Okay.
Maybe somebody doesn't want a 30 by 50, they want a 20 by 40. They don't want it as big for whatever reason.
Well, I thought the whole purpose of this was to have uniform development there, where you had a section with 6 homes with 6 toy barns.
And I would imagine that's what they're going to do. That's why we're pricing the lots the way we are. That's why we're going through everything to get this approval to be able to build it. I think there's a market for that, you see from the classic car dealership we have in Manuka, there's a lot of folks that are always looking for places like this. So being that there's only 6 of them, I personally think there'll be a little sense of urgency. But I don't know that everybody's just gonna jump out of the gate and build a $700,000 house and a $200,000 toy barn, and maybe they will. There's not a lot of $900,000 houses, but there's certainly a few, and there's only 6 of these. So if there was 60, then I'd be a lot more concerned, but
All right, and the last thing is more of a comment rather than a question, is I just feel that the setup for them to exit from their driveway is not the safest way to do it. I think in most cases, the tendency will be for people just to back out. So I think we could probably come up with a better way to get off of that driveway so they're coming out, pulling out, not backing out. And to going along with that, the fact if they're gonna be putting RVs there, or if they're gonna have boats on trailers, it's gonna be awful hard to maneuver that. And I think the easiest way to get out is just to back it straight out. So I just wanted to make that comment. That's all I have, thank you.
yes, sir.
Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Everybody comfortable about going forward? Council, we're okay?
Yeah, we're okay.
We just gotta just make one clarifying point on language on the turnaround component, right?
Yes. So the requirement of a bump out for a turn regardless of whether
Right,
a toy road is built.
Yeah,
We just need to clarify that it's in there.
Yeah.
we'll just add that to the PUD, that's pretty
Okay.
simple. Yeah. The, Mayor, you get to vote on item number 4, so we can't take these all three together. I would recommend we take 4, approving the annexation agreement, if that's what the board's inclined to do, and we could take 5 and 6 together if you like.
Fair enough. Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
After your-
Make a motion to approve an ordinance approving and authorizing an annexation agreement for Sile Road Estates and waive the second reading.
Second.
Motion by trustee Brockman and seconded by trustee Babiak. Roll call, please.
Luciano,
No,
Selfridge,
Yes.
Amos.
Yes.
Babiak,
Yes.
Brockman.
Yes.
Chapman,
yes,
and DePaul.
Yes. All right, so item 4 has been approved. Item number 5 is a consideration for approval of an ordinance annexing certain lands into the village of Shorewood, Will County, Illinois, Sile Road Estates. Again, this item is up for a first read. Trustee Brockman and Ms. Engel.
Any other explanation needed on this one?
Nope, it's just annexing the property and then approving the PUD. All the standards are the same.
Okay.
And per council trustee, if you wanted to motion 5 and 6 together, he did say that was permissible.
Okay. Well, make a motion to approve an ordinance annexing certain lands into the village of Shorewood, Will County, Sile Road Estates, waive the second read, and approval of an ordinance granting a conditional use permit for a planned unit development for Sile Road Estates, and waive the second read on that one also.
second,
Motion by trustee Brockman, seconded by trustee Chapman. Roll call, please, for items 5, 6.
Selfridge,
Yes.
Amos.
Yes.
Babiak,
Yes.
Brockman,
Yes.
Chapman,
yes,
and Luciano.
no,
All right, items 5 and 6 are approved. Business item number 7 will be consideration for approval of a resolution approving a site plan for 20463 Southeast Frontage Road. Again, trustee Brockman and Ms. Engel.
Okay, Mayor, thank you again. We've seen several renditions of this plan. Looks like we're at the final stage from Mr. Slavik again. And Natalie, you want to tell us
Sure.
about the particulars about this?
Absolutely.
agenda
So
item?
if
Thank
you recall, this property is on Southeast Frontage Road, and it's really the only little property out there that's going to be part of the village of Shorewood. So the Skyview subdivision is to its east. The Kipling Homes Apartments are to the north, the Skyview subdivision is to its west. To the northeast are the Kipling subdivisions of townhomes and apartments, and to the south is industrial and Joliet. Even further south is the Rock Run development. We came before you with a concept plan similar to this about a year ago, and at that point, they weren't sure who they were going to lease to. One of the property owners is Mr. Acosta, who owns Acosta Fence. He's decided that he would like to occupy this building, so there were a couple of changes to accommodate his business, and this is the final plan that's coming forward to you. I do need to point out that because this has been bumping around since 2025, it was actually applied for before we changed the industrial text amendment and required certain things like buildings that weren't made of metal and things like that. So it was reviewed on the 2025 codes in effect at that time. Like I mentioned, it was going to be used by Acosta Fencing. This is the site plan. The red solid circle shows where the access will be from Southeast Frontage Road. It'll then drive along the south side of the property, and there's a stubbed road to the east, which really leads to a farm field right now. So in the future, if there were ever a desire to connect those two properties, it would be an option. They are going to be building a building that's shown in green. This is an example of the building. It's a 10,002 square foot building where 7,900 square feet are a shop area, 2,100 square feet is an office area, and there's a single dock. In blue, you'll see what's essentially a lean-to structure. This is a 3-sided metal structure that Acosta Fence will use for the storage of some of their material. They have 15 truck parking spaces that are highlighted in orange and 16 passenger vehicle parking spaces that are highlighted in purple, and you see the gray areas, essentially their driving and parking area. In blue is the 2 ponds that they're proposing. There's one at the entryway and then one on the north side of the property. And in green is a berm that they're proposing that setbacks to the residential property. You can zoom in on that right now. It's a 7-foot tall berm, which is basically the maximum size they can fit in that area. And they have a 6-foot tall privacy fence on top of that berm. This site plan has changed a little bit based on some conversations with the neighbors. There were originally a lot of arborvitae back there. The neighbors basically indicated that they would prefer to see lower density other types of trees because they really enjoy seeing the deer and the wildlife that are out back there. So Mr. Slavic did accommodate some of their desires in this. This is the overall landscape plan, so in addition to the berm, they have landscaping around the pond and around the perimeter of the property. It's pretty heavily landscaped. They submitted a photometrics plan because this is back behind things and not up against a major road. They aren't going to be doing the village decorative light fixtures, but they do meet the standard. Back to the site plan, this property is on the east side of the expressway. We do not have well and septic in the area. Joliet's actually quite far from it too with their stubs, so they'll be doing this on well and septic in the county. There are no variances required, and for the fence company in the OCI, Office Commercial Industrial Zoning District, it's a permitted use, so this is not a conditional use permit. There was no public hearing. It's just a site plan approval up for you for consideration this evening.
Trustee Brockman, during planning and zoning, anybody speak against or any feedback from your?
I failed to mention that. No, they did not.
Is there any other questions during that part of it, or your presentation that night?
Natalie, you'll have to refresh my memory. I don't remember anything.
I don't think so, no. There were residents who came out initially when we brought this project forward, and they have periodically been checking in with us, but I think in the end, they're pretty happy that the buildings are now up against their property line, that there's a berm, and I think they generally like the landscape plan. It's sort of responsive to what they want to see with looking out back and seeing deer and wildlife and things like that.
I think the residents were hoping that Shorewood was bringing water out there. That was not possible.
Yeah. It's much more likely that Joliet will be able to serve this than us because it's really just one little key-shaped property that's going to be surrounded by Joliet.
Yeah. Right.
Anybody else have any questions about this?
Are there business hours that they can operate in as far as the disturbing the neighbors?
No, it's not a conditional use, so we can't impose any of those hours. It's really just a permitted use and a site plan approval. We were happy that it was a fencing company and not a trucking company or something like that that could, that would be more likely to operate 24/7, but we don't have that in our code where we can enforce different hours.
Okay. And then the type of fence, like, is it gonna be like PVC or something that'll last?
Have they decided on PVC versus wood fence?
Yeah, I think it's white PVC.
Okay.
And I think that the neighbors opined on that as well.
Okay, that's why I was curious if they would maybe say something. And then last, you said the lights aren't our decorative lights, but they meet our standard.
They meet our standards for photometrics. They don't need we don't really have a standard that says that on private property you have to do our decorative lights. That's
Okay.
more of a street thing, but they do meet our photometric standards.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Sure.
That's all.
Anybody else have any questions?
If not, I'll make a motion to approve a resolution approving a site plan for 20463 Southeast Frontage Road.
Second.
Motion by trustee Brockman, second by trustee Babiak. Roll call, please.
Amos,
Yes.
Babiak,
Yes.
Brockman.
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Luciano.
Yes.
And Selfridge.
Yes.
All right, item 7 is approved. That concludes our order of business for the evening. We'll move into trustee comments. Trustee Amos.
Thank you, none.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Babiak.
None tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Brockman.
Thank you, Mayor. Too early for an agenda for our next planning and zoning, but I do want to thank council for helping out at the last planning and zoning meeting. That's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Chapman.
No comment.
No, thank you, sir. Trustee Luciano.
Citizens Advisory Committee will be meeting May 28th here at the Village Hall at 7 p.m., second floor. As always, if anyone's interested in becoming involved with the committee, they can contact myself or any of the other members through the information on the village website. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Selfridge.
No comment, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Babiak,
Second.
second by trustee Amos. Roll call, please.
Babiak? Yes. Brockman?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Luciano?
Yes.
Selfridge?
Yes.
And Amos?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody.